Concerning this walk that we have chosen to undertake in regards to the Torah, walking again according to Yah's commands. Exactly why are we doing this? Hi, the Spirit Phillips with 10-minute Torah, day number 1, the Torah portion, Tavo. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 26. Let's start reading in verse 1 and read a few verses. And it shall be, when you come into the land which Yahweh your Elohim has given you as an inheritance, and you possess it and dwell in it, that you shall take some of the first of all the fruits of the soil which you bring from your land that Yahweh your Elohim is giving you, and shall put it in a basket, and go to the place where Yahweh your Elohim chooses to make his name dwell there. And you shall come to the one who is priest in those days, and say to him, I shall declare today to Yahweh your Elohim that I have come to the land which Yahweh swore to my fathers to give us. We'll pause there. So the storyline here is that eventually, at some point, at this time of the reading, in the very near future, the people of Israel that have been in the wilderness now for 4 decades are going to actually cross the Jordan and enter into the land and begin to drive out its inhabitants and take possession of the land, not for a short stay, but for all generations forward, as long as they're willing to obey Yah and his commands. Now, we know from reading further in the scriptures, Samuel and Kings and the prophets and so forth, that things did not go exactly to that plan. There was many instances and periods of time where they walked waywardly and were taken from the land. But it says here, and I believe this is a prophetic statement, then and very much now. The opening phrase, it shall be when you come into the land which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you as an inheritance. So wherever we might be located currently, the world over, among those who frequently, I understand, watch 10-minute Torah, there's a variety of nations represented here, not just the United States. Let me just say in passing, thank you for all that watch 10-minute Torah, regardless of where you are. It's very much appreciated. That said, wherever you are, however you are situated, whatever your circumstances, we all have a common goal. If we don't have a goal and a destination in mind, if we don't have an identity among ourselves as to who we are, then we don't know what our destination is. We don't know why we're doing what we're doing. And it has been said, we're just another group of people wandering around the wilderness. There is a reasonable conclusion, a reasonable, rational, expected conclusion to doing what we're doing. The reason that we're keeping feast days and Shabbats and dietary observances and reading and studying the Torah year after year and making its application in all of its points of business and family and relationships among nations, excuse me, the reason that we're doing this, it's not to keep out of some eternal punishment. It's not to make Yahweh happy enough that he will like us. It's not to prove necessarily our devotion to even Yeshua, even though the word says in Yochanan 14, if you love me, keep my commandments. So yes, there is a love and devotion factor. But ultimately, the reason that we're doing what we're doing beyond our love and affection for Yeshua is that we have an anticipation that we're going to inherit the land of the kingdom of heaven that is coming to earth. When you say it that way, when you think about it in those terms, it almost sounds asinine and fanciful to the place of being totally beyond reason and ludicrous. And I would understand why people would kind of roll their eyes and say, yeah, right. So you're going to follow these commands, and somehow you're going to be supernaturally translated, transferred, transported from wherever it is that you live in the earth and deposited in the land of Israel as borders increase, and you're going to be a part of a kingdom there. Yeah, you might say it that way. In the book of Bereshit, or Genesis, chapter number 15, it says here in verse 13, he, that is Yahweh, said to Avram, know for certain that your seed are to be sojourners in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And it says that he is in the fourth generation going to return them here, wherever it was at that moment that Abraham was standing. And he describes borders in verse 18. Yahweh made a covenant with Abram, saying, I have given this land to your seed from the river of Mitzrayim to the great river, the river Euphrates. That's a very large landmass. That understood then, if we are children of Abraham, number one, we will do what Abraham did. And number two, we will walk as Abraham walked. And number three, we are joint heirs with Abraham and his seed. If we are in Messiah, then we are also of the seed of Abraham. We don't replace anybody. We don't uproot anybody. We don't push anybody out of the land to make room for ourselves. Yah has an apportioned part for all of us that we might receive. The goal is to get to the land, to be in the land, and to be a participant in the land. We're not going home to the kingdom to lie in a hammock and have servants feed us grapes and wine all day. We have work to do. We have land to till and to sow and to reap. We have vines to take care of. We have flocks and herds. Yes, I see that in large part we're going back to a very agricultural society. But who knows what technology also might be available in that day if we think we're so technologically advanced at the moment. I just wonder how many things are available to us we have no clue of. And Yah is saying, if you'd have just asked me, I'd have told you about it. And so there is this understanding we are not destined to walk in an exile, wilderness-style setting indefinitely. If we have no hope of an inheritance, if we don't have any expectation beyond this current realm and understanding of things, it can be very depressing, and we can feel doomed, and we can feel despondent. Like, why? Is my life really that much better? Yes, our health is better, whether we recognize it or not, for changes in the way we eat. Yes, our body responds to the cycle of Yah's time and the observance of Shabbat and the keen awareness of when his Moedim, his times and seasons are. It's like one of those things where you're taking a pain-killing medication and you don't realize the effect that it's having until you stop taking it. And then you realize, oh, that's what it was doing for me. Not that I recommend you get long-term on that. But we won't go down that road. The reality is, if you were to walk outside the Torah and start doing your own thing again and return to wherever it was that you were and doing whatever it was that you were doing, you would begin to recognize the benefits that you've lost. Keep your eyes on the prize. Stay focused on what's right in front of you, but never lose sight of the horizon, and understand that over the horizon lies the kingdom, and it is an absolute sure thing. Be encouraged, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, shalom.